Okay, so this is Alone in the Dark. This game has some issues, as you can see. I'm gonna go and disable everything that I did, which is DLSS Performance. Let me just disable DLSS altogether. Back. So as you can see, this is on the 3090 Ti, paired with a 7950X3D, and everything is put to cinematic, the maximum as you can get. As max settings as I can get from this game, and it's still, the game is not sharp. The game is made with Unreal Engine 4. It's not even Unreal Engine 5, but still has a lot of issues that Unreal Engine 5 has, which is stuttering and actually low kind of optimization. It's not really optimized. So right off the bat, the GPU, the VRAM usage is great. Only using 8.5 in 4K cinematic, which is, you're not gonna be playing 4K everything maxed out on a 3070 or a 3070 Ti or something like that. So on those GPUs, if you want to do like epic or like medium settings on 1440p, it's gonna probably use 5 gigabytes of VRAM. And the RAM also is good. RAM utilization is only 2 gigabytes, close to 3 gigabytes, 2.8, and the allocation is 14, so don't mind the allocation. The allocation is just like, it just allocates more than it needs in case it needs that. Same as the VRAM. But the thing is, this game is refusing to use the Vcache cores on my CPU. I specifically disabled all the clock cores on my CPU for this game. I still have them on in the BIOS, but with CPU lasso, I disabled them for this game, and it still uses them instead of using the Vcache cores, which I allowed it to use, which is really crazy. I don't know why, but that's not even the problem. The problem is like, oh, even like the core, the clock cores on the GPU, I mean on the CPU, they are very powerful too. They're not that bad. It's just like they're inferior to the V-core cache cores. And let me just go and enable DLSS on quality for now. So the game for now behaves as it should. The game for now behaves completely as a game should. And 100% lows are great, close to the actual FPS, the current FPS, and close to the average FPS. Let me enable DLSS. Back. Okay, so DLSS gave me double the performance. I had like 48, 45 something, now I have 90. So double the performance, which is great. If I'm gonna have like 40 FPS without the DLSS and then 90 FPS with DLSS quality, fine. The GPU VRAM usage dropped by 2 gigabytes, almost 3 gigabytes, because it was 8 point something, more than half. So now it's like only 6. It dropped to 5.9 now. And the RAM is still the same. The RAM usage is not gonna drop just by using the DLSS. I have to drop resolution for the RAM usage to drop. But yeah, I think you saw that stuttering before I opened the door. So whenever you change areas in this game, it's gonna stutter as hell. It's gonna stutter into 100% lows. They're gonna suffer. And the thing is, you're gonna be changing like areas a lot in this game. Like from the barn, I went to this area outside here, and it stuttered again. And then from this area outside here, I have to go inside here. This I don't know what they call it. This looks like a Harry Potter kind of tree. It has voices inside it. Like it actually has voices inside the tree trying to talk. He's like talking to the tree right now. What's this? A key of some sort. Okay, no problem. The game visually looks fine, but it's like the performance, the smoothness. It's running at 100 FPS right now. But when I pan the camera or I can move the character, it doesn't feel like 100 FPS. It feels like 60 FPS, or like less than 60 FPS, with all the jittering and stuttering. And Unreal Engine 4 was out for a long time. There are like a lot of games that actually get out optimized, you know, get published optimized without any of these problems. I have to
Every
open
day
this.
we go
I don't care every day. I don't really care. All I'm here to do is like to play the game and benchmark it for now. I'm not gonna progress the story
Mind if I do?
further until I want to play the game for myself. Alright, so as you can see, the game has a lot. Every time you open a door, there's a new area, and every time you go to a new area, it's gonna stutter. You're gonna feel it. It's not like you're not gonna feel it. Alright, let me just go and do DLSS on performance right now. And this is where the problem actually it's introduces itself. If I accept it, go back, and as you can see, DLSS performance did nothing but just drop my GPU utilization. And it's not even using, it's only using one core and one thread on my CPU. This is crazy. It's refusing to use more than one core and one thread of my CPU. Using 10%, sometimes it uses like 8% of my CPU. This is not how a game should use the CPU. It's at least should use 3 or 4 cores at least. It's not even using that. Basically, the CPU is just idling at this point, not even doing anything. And the game is not even hard locked to 120 in the engine. It's because sometimes it goes beyond that, goes to 125, 130 FPS, but now the GPU is just waiting for the CPU, and the CPU is not giving the GPU any more information. This is crazy, man. And now, because of DLSS performance, it feels like it's stuttering more than it did with DLSS quality, because, you know, the GPU fluctuates and the CPU doing nothing is bad. Is actually a bad. This is not a CPU bottleneck or a GPU bottleneck. This is a game bottleneck. The game is the bottleneck here. And not because of the engine capping at 120 FPS or 125 FPS. No, it's because the game is not optimized. Alright, let me just disable DLSS. Probably gonna do 1440p right now. Let me just disable DLSS. Where is it? Disable it. Go 1440p. Yeah, my computer just turned off for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm back up in the game. Let me just do 1440p. Yep, 1440p. No, the overlay is pretty big. Alright, I disabled DLSS. Everything is still cinematic. I'm gonna reset the 100% lows. Now, the GPU is actually 100%. And as you can see, even though it like dropped to 39% right now, just because it's loading the area and that's all. And I have 130 FPS. So it's not a CPU bottleneck. It's just the game doesn't know what to do with DLSS on performance. It's just like likes DLSS on quality, but it doesn't like DLSS on performance for some reason. It's just like thinks that if it just halves the GPU utilization, that's gonna be fine, which is not. And also on 1440p, this game looks blurry as hell because it was blurry at 4K. It was not sharp. They have to add a sharpness slider, and now it's like even blurrier. The 100% lows, as you can see, they're pretty low. They're like half of the performance that I have, which is bad. If the 100% lows are pretty far from the current FPS or the average FPS, you can feel the stuttering. Even though it's above 60, you can feel it when it drops from 120 to a 60. You can feel it. And every time you go inside, like now when I open the door, it would drop to 50. From 68 to 50. Oh, it's bad. It's actually bad. I think, did I get the key? Yeah, I think the key is still here. I have to get it again. Alright, so let's do DLSS. Actually, let's do DLAA right now. Let's do DLAA and see if it's how it that. Yes. Let me just see if that applied. Yes. So DLAA doesn't do much, doesn't take much of the performance, but it actually adds a little bit of sharpness to the game. It makes it look better because TAA is just like ass. You see now with DLAA, this looks better. This looks better with DLAA. DLAA is garbage. Every game needs to like implement DLAA. It just takes probably 4 to 5 FPS if it takes any FPS from your game. Yeah, let me just do DLSS on quality right now. Options, video. Where's DLSS? I have to disable DLAA so I can do DLSS. Just on quality. Accept. Go back. And as you can see, DLSS on quality actually increased my FPS to 200 from like 120 or something, but it did drop GPU utilization just a little bit to the 80s and 70s. But it did actually increase from like 130 FPS to 220, which is pretty good. And this inside area is just like really, and now it's like dropping GPU utilization again. So this game is not really optimized. This game is, and probably if I use now DLSS on performance, it's gonna drop my GPU utilization to like 30% or like 25%. Yeah, this game needs a little bit of time in the oven. They have to give it more time in the oven so it can cook fully, because it's not actually doing anything right now. It's like really bad. Really bad. It's not. And every time I go inside a door, I open a door and go inside somewhere, there's the bridge that loads stuff from the SSD, but it's really makes it stuttery as hell. Okay, let me just go and try the DLSS on performance right now. I know that it's just gonna drop my GPU utilization, but let's just do it. Accept. Back. Again, yeah, it just dropped my GPU utilization. Actually gave me like 20 FPS more. Because it was in 180s, now it's like 200 and something. But yeah, every time, you can feel it. Like every time I go close to the door, it stutters. Even not even opening the door. So yeah, the DLSS thing is just like, it's broken. It's not even increasing my it's increasing my FPS just a little bit, but it's also dropping my GPU utilization for some reason. And as you can see, like in this area, it's like in the 40s. It was in the 60s earlier. Now it's like in the 30s and the low 40s in the GPU utilization. That's not good. That's bad. That's really bad. They need to fix this shit. This shit is not acceptable. You see, again, another corridor, and there's a bridge that actually, it feels stuttery whenever I move to new areas. Oh, this doesn't need a key. This is the first door that I met that did not require a key. All right, guys. Yeah, this game needs a little bit of ironing in the kitchen, in the oven. It needs to be fully cooked before they release it, but they released it in this state. It's not as bad as like Last of Us when it released, or like other games when they release. Stuttery like Remnants and Last of Us, but it is still bad. It is still not really performing how it should. And as I said before, on 1440p, it's just gonna use like 5 gigabytes of VRAM or less, and it's actually using 5 gigabytes of VRAM and less. So yeah, I'm gonna try it on the 4090 next, but I'm not gonna try it now until they fix the performance issues, because now this is the 3090 Ti. It's not even being fully used, and the 4090 is just gonna be probably 20% of the GPU utilization or something like that. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Ciao.